There are places in this world that feel like they belong only to you. A hidden lake, a wooded path, a rock formation at the water's edge where you've sat 100 times before, and nothing bad has ever happened. My brother JJ and I had a lake like that. We'd been fishing it since we were kids. Live bait, bluegill, late Friday nights when everyone else our age was somewhere louder. We preferred the silence, the seclusion, the feeling that this place was ours alone. The night it happened, we arrived just as the sun began to set. By the time our lines were in the water, the sky had gone dark. That is when I noticed the ripples. On the far side of the lake, strong ripples. The kind that don't come from wind or fish. Jay and I squinted across the water. The light was fading, visibility was poor, and then something began to rise out of the lake. A dark mass, slow, deliberate. My first thought was a large fish, but it was too big, too upright. It was a person. Think about that for a moment. A person standing in a private lake after sunset who had just been completely submerged beneath the surface. Not for a second, not for two, long enough that neither of us had noticed them go under. My heart started pounding. Every instinct I had told me to leave. Jay wanted to stay, so we stayed. We watched the figure sway back and forth in the water. Slow, rhythmic, like the water was not something to fight against, but something to conduct. We forgot about our fishing rods entirely. I reached down and touched the surface of the lake. I pulled my hand back immediately. The water was ice cold. After a few minutes, I turned to tell JJ we should refocus. He was frozen, mouth slightly open, eyes locked on the water. He wasn't even holding his rod anymore. I said his name 3 times before he blinked. Then he grabbed my shoulder. Look, the figure had submerged again. We waited. 1 minute passed. 2 minutes. JJ had his phone out, stopwatch running. 3 minutes. Then the ripples came back, but they were closer now, much closer. 1/5 of the way across the lake. This person had held their breath for nearly 3 minutes and spent that time swimming underwater toward us. We stood up to leave. But we didn't. She emerged from the water. Long brown hair, dark green swimsuit. She looked young, beautiful, smiling, like she hadn't just done something impossible. Hi, she said, playful, casual. The fear loosened its grip. JJ asked what she was doing. Swimming, she said. He asked if she was training for something. She smiled. Something like that. Then she asked if we wanted to join her. I told her the water was freezing. She laughed and called us babies. Jay said no. Her smile disappeared. She went still, put one finger to her lips, stared at us like she was deciding something. That's when the fear came back, all of it, all at once. I grabbed JJ's arm and told her we were leaving. She screamed, not words. Not a sentence, just a scream, raw and sharp, like something tearing. She shrieked at us to come back, to get in the water. Over and over as we ran through the dark woods back to our car. I half expected to hear footsteps behind us. I didn't look back. JJ called the police from the car. We didn't wait for them, we just drove. We went back to that lake many times after. Brought our dad, fished into the night. We never saw her again. For a long time we laughed about it. Now, I tell myself she was mentally ill. I tell myself that because the other explanations are worse. Some things can't be explained, and the ones you can't explain are the ones that stay with you. My name is Jay. Fishing has been my escape for as long as I can remember. This happened 2 months ago, Louisiana, early spring. Me and my friend Angel kayak fishing in the marsh for speckled trout, cold air, colder water. The kind of morning where your breath fogs and the world feels still. We had been paddling about 30 minutes when Angel hooked something decent. He leaned over the side to get a better angle, and I watched his phone slide clean out of his pocket and disappear into the murky water below. He was furious. We tried using our paddles to feel around for it on the bottom. The water was too dark, too thick with mud. Finally, Angel said he wasn't leaving without it, before I could say anything. He stripped down and stepped into the marsh. The water came up to about 4.5 feet, deeper than we expected. He started feeling around with his feet along the bottom. Then he yelled, and his entire body flipped forward. 1 second he was standing. The next, He was gone, completely under. I started tearing off my jacket to jump in after him. Then he exploded out of the water, gasping, covered in mud, screaming at me to go, to get out, to leave right now. I hauled him back into the kayak. He was shaking, not just from the cold. He said something had grabbed his ankle. Not a fish, not a branch, not river debris, something that wrapped around him with purpose, with strength, and pulled. He said it tried to drag him away from the kayak, away from the surface. He fought. He kicked. He broke free. I tried to convince him it was an alligator gar. A big catfish, something logical, something with a name. He just shook his head. We don't know what was in that marsh. We never went back to find out. But every time I fish those waters now, I keep my feet inside the kayak. And I try very hard not to think about what might be underneath. Some places give you a feeling the moment you arrive. A prickling at the back of the neck, a stillness that doesn't feel natural. Most people ignore that feeling. We should have listened. It was me, Kat, Nick, and Megan, our usual weekend crew. We drove out to a reservoir near Megan's house, county property, technically off limits, but we had our own entrance, a hole cut in the fence. A small sandy patch we called our beach. We'd been there dozens of times. Nothing had ever happened. Nick and I set up our fishing gear. The girls cracked open drinks. That's when Kat noticed the canoe, wedged into the reeds along the bank. We'd never seen it before, not once in all our visits. Nick and I went to check it out. Inside the canoe, a fishing rod with the line still in the water, an open tackle box, a half-eaten sandwich, and a phone-locked flashlight still on, quietly burning in the dark. Everything arranged exactly as if the person had just stepped away, no one nearby. No footsteps, no voice, just the hum of the water and that phone, glowing. We went back to the girls, Megan gasped. Across the reservoir, a figure, standing knee-deep in the water, perfectly still, watching us. We couldn't make out a face. Just a silhouette holding something long, maybe a rod, standing in absolute silence, staring in our direction. We didn't say much. We started packing, then the figure screamed, told us to get out, that we didn't belong there. Then they dropped what they were holding and started swimming toward us. We ran, through the fence, into the car, down the road. We never called the police. We were trespassing. We didn't want the questions. We haven't been back since. Part of me still wants answers. Who owned that canoe? Who left that phone behind, still glowing in the reeds? Who was standing in that water, waiting? But I've learned something about places like that. Some questions are better left unanswered, and some places are better left alone.